Now I shall read the episode where the apostles, James and John, do not exactly cover themselves with glory because their mother asks Jesus to make special places for them, obviously above the other apostles, when he comes into his glory in his kingdom. And this is from volume 5 of the Poem of the Man God. And so it's getting close to Christ's Passion. But clearly they're still dull as to what that means in reality. This is from chapter 575 of the Poem of the Man God, volume 5. And while they rest after their long walk, and some eat a little bread, the mother of James and John approaches Jesus, who has not sat down, anxious as he is to set out again, and she prostrates herself before him. As her desire to ask for something is obvious, Jesus asks her, "What do you want, woman? Tell me. Grant me a grace before you go away, as you say." "Which?" "Arrange for these 2 sons of mine, who have left everything for your sake, to sit one at your right hand and the other at your left, when you will be sitting in your glory in your kingdom." Jesus looks at the woman and then at the 2 apostles, and he says, "You have suggested this request to your mother, misinterpreting the promises I made yesterday. You will not receive in a kingdom on the earth the 100-fold of what you have left. So are you becoming greedy and foolish too? But it is not your fault. The mephitic twilight of darkness is already advancing, and the polluted air of Jerusalem is approaching and is corrupting and blinding you. I tell you that you do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I am going to drink?" "We can, Lord." "How can you say so if you've not understood the bitterness of my cup? It will not be only the bitterness that I described to you yesterday, the bitterness of the man of all sorrows. There will be tortures that you would not be in a position to understand, even if I should describe them to you. And yet, yes, although you are still like 2 boys who do not know the value of what they ask, as you are 2 just spirits who love me, you will certainly drink of my cup. But it is not for me to grant to you to sit at my right hand or at my left. It is granted to those for whom it was prepared by my Father." The other apostles, while Jesus is still speaking, are very sharp in criticizing the request of the sons of Zebedee and of their mother. Peter says to John, "How could you? I no longer recognize you for what you were." And the Iscariot, with his demoniac smile, says, "Truly the first are the last. Surprises and discoveries nowadays." And he laughs on the wrong side of his mouth. "Have we perhaps followed our master to be honoured?" asks Philip reproachingly. Instead of replying to the 2 apostles, Thomas addresses Salome, saying, "Why did you have your sons mortified? You should have pondered on the matter and prevented all that if they did not." "That is true. Our mother would not have done that," says Thaddeus. Bartholomew does not speak, but his countenance evidences his disapproval. In order to calm everybody's indignation, Simon Zealot says, "We can all make mistakes." Matthew, Andrew and James of Alphaeus do not say anything, but they are clearly suffering because of the incident that injures John's beautiful perfection. Jesus makes a gesture to impose silence and says, "What? Is one error going to bring about many? You, who are reproaching with indignation, do you not realize that you are committing a sin as well? Leave these brothers of yours alone. My rebuke is sufficient. Their humiliation is evident, and their repentance is humble and sincere. You must love one another, supporting one another, because none of you are yet perfect. You must not imitate the world and the men of the world. In the world, as you are aware, princes lord over their nations, and their great men exert their power in the names of the princes. But that must not happen among you. You must not be eager to lord over men and your companions. On the contrary, anyone who wants to be great among you must be your servant. And anyone who wants to be first among you must be everybody's servant, exactly as your master did. Did I come to lord over people and oppress them, or to be served? Certainly not. I came to serve. Thus, as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and give his life as a ransom for many, you must do likewise if you want to be as I am, and where I am. Go now, and be at peace with one another, as I am at peace with you. Jesus makes a comment at the end of this vision. Make the following sentence very clear. You will certainly drink of my chalice. In translations you read, my chalice. I said, of my chalice, not my chalice. No man could have drunk my chalice. I alone, the Redeemer, had to drink all my chalice. My disciples, my imitators and lovers, are certainly allowed to drink of that chalice from which I drank, with regard to that drop, sip, or sips that God's predilection grants them to drink. But no one will ever drink all the chalice as I did. So it is right to say, of my chalice, and not my chalice. Just a pause there before concluding this video. That's an example which occurs now and again in the poem, where Jesus is really seeking to be precise, to clarify something in the gospel that has either been lost in transmission over the centuries, in copying, for example, or is just not clear enough in the text, even though it's been faithfully transmitted as a text from the beginning. That really is another indicator of the authenticity of this work, that one could get down to that level of concern for detail that is expressed by Jesus here. It is very unlikely that a forger will be bothered about such a minor point, a seemingly minor point, as the real Jesus who is speaking here clearly is.